The following story is based on real-life criminal cases. Some names, details, and events have been altered for privacy and dramatic purposes. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, certain information may not be factually verified. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Some of these cases remain unsolved to this day.
Bryan Kohberger case, newly unsealed court documents and the search for answers. Good day, and welcome to Murder Mistress. Before we continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Support helps bring deeper investigations into cases that continue to shape conversations around criminal justice, evidence, and the lives impacted by violence. This report examines the recent developments surrounding Bryan Kohberger, now serving 4 consecutive life sentences for the murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. The crime occurred in November of 2022 in Moscow, Idaho, inside an off-campus residence near the University of Idaho. The case drew national attention for the brutality of the crime, the fear it sparked in a college community, and the unusual path that led investigators to the suspect. After nearly 3 months in prison, Judge Steven Hippler began unsealing court records tied to the case. The documents include witness lists, forensic findings, investigative timelines, and material prosecutors plan to present at trial. These documents provide insight into what evidence was considered crucial, how the investigative narrative was constructed, and what details were previously shielded from the public. The unsealed material outlines the injuries suffered by the victims. The reports describe deep, sharp force wounds consistent with a large fixed-blade knife. The nature of the wounds indicates quick, forceful strikes. Medical examiners concluded the victims were attacked while sleeping or just as they awakened. The timeline suggests the encounter was swift, violent, and carried out with determination. Investigative attention focused early on the unusual nature of the crime scene. There were no signs of forced entry, suggesting familiarity with the house layout or confidence in the approach. The surviving roommates were interviewed extensively, describing hearing disturbances during the night but not recognizing them as signs of a life-threatening attack. One identified seeing a figure, masked or partially obscured, moving through the hallway. The individual did not speak. The silence and sudden presence produced confusion at the time rather than clear alarm, a detail that became important in understanding response time and the initial lack of a 911 call. The documents reveal how digital forensics played a decisive role. Cell tower data, Wi-Fi network logs, and vehicle movement analysis began pointing toward Bryan Kohberger, who was studying criminology at Washington State University, located fewer than 15 miles from Moscow. Location data placed his phone near the crime scene on multiple occasions before the murders, consistent with what investigators later identified as possible surveillance or pattern observation. A white Hyundai Elantra matching the vehicle seen on security footage around the house became a leading investigative anchor. Multiple traffic and security camera recordings aligned the car's travel path with the timeline of the murders. The vehicle's movement during the early morning hours matched the window of the attacks, creating a framework of mobility evidence that prosecutors prepared to present. Another focal point was DNA. A knife sheath found at the crime scene contained a single male DNA profile. The match to Bryan Kohberger was confirmed through genealogical tracing and eventually direct testing of a swab obtained from trash outside his family residence in Pennsylvania. The defense challenged chain of custody records and interpretation methods, arguing that transfer DNA or lab error could not be ruled out. The prosecution countered that the DNA was located on an object believed to have been in direct contact with the weapon used, making incidental transfer highly unlikely. The documents show that prosecutors planned to introduce expert testimony regarding behavioral patterns. Analysts were prepared to discuss movement patterns consistent with pre-offense surveillance, as well as course of study relevance. Kohberger's academic background included research into criminal behavior, offender psychology, and decision-making patterns. The prosecution drew no direct claim that education caused the crime, but instead argued it may have shaped method, timing, and attempts at concealment. Witness testimony would have included students, neighbors, forensic specialists, digital evidence analysts, and medical examiners. The surviving roommates were expected to testify regarding events inside the house before and after the murders. Law enforcement officers who participated in surveillance of Kohberger during his return to Pennsylvania were also included in the witness list, documenting behavior and actions leading to the arrest. The documents also described the emotional toll present in the families of the victims. Statements prepared for sentencing reflect grief, disbelief, and a lasting trauma of loss. These statements emphasize the future's interrupted, academic aspirations, careers, plans with friends, and family bonds. The crime's impact extends beyond the victims to an entire community of students, parents, and faculty who experienced days of uncertainty and fear. As the trial approached, the legal strategy shifted. The defense raised concerns about media exposure, investigative errors, and the handling of grand jury proceedings. Motions were filed to dismiss or restrict evidence. Ultimately, proceedings moved forward, and after sentencing, records previously sealed are being released to the public. The unsealing of these documents serves several purposes. It allows transparency regarding evidence collection and prosecutorial intent. It offers clarity about investigative decisions and the basis for charges. It also opens ongoing discussion about privacy, pretrial publicity, and the balance between public interest and fair legal process. This case remains difficult to engage with due to the brutality involved. The victims were young, with close friendships and promising futures. The community they lived in was considered safe and insulated from major violent crime. The suddenness of the event challenged that sense of security and continues to influence conversations about campus safety and threat awareness. This report focuses on the factual evidence released and does not speculate on motive beyond the information documented in official records. Investigators did not identify a clear personal connection between Kohberger and the victims. The absence of a stated motive adds to the complexity and emotional weight surrounding the case. As more documents are released in the coming months, the full investigative picture will continue to sharpen. Court systems often move cautiously, especially when dealing with material that affects privacy, ongoing appeals, or legal integrity. The long-term impact of these releases will shape public perception and academic study of the case for years to come. Thank you for watching Murder Mistress. More developments will continue to be monitored and reported as official records are made available.